Let's start with the problem. I hope the volume is good. Okay. Square of a sorted array. I have done this problem. It's a really easy problem, and the constraints are really loose. So we can take like n log n time. So I'll quickly explain you the problem. We are given a sorted array which contains negative as well as positive integers. Now what we want to do is we want to square each of the number, and we want the result that we get should also be sorted. So there is this simple, really easiest way to do this. uh, what we can do is we can iterate over the array, and while iterating, what we can let's not do this. Let's just take the simple method of iterating. It must be less than nums dot length, and we should increase I. Okay, now what we want to do is nums of I must be equal to nums of I. Let's just write a done. Now just apply arrays dot sort and pass this nums there, and finally not here, there, return this array, return nums. Even if this array contains nothing will happen because its length would be 0 then. And we can see that yeah, it contains at least one character. So I hope this runs fine and the time complexity is all done. Yeah, and somewhere now, so this was not the fastest of the solution. So another solution can be, since this is a already sorted array, so we can divide this array into two. Let's call it a negative and a positive array. Then what we can do is we can use merge sort on the same array. Like we would compare for the square of -1 and the square of 0, and whichever is greater we would put it in a temp array. Let's just do it here. Okay, just comment all this out. Yeah, now what we want to do is let's find the count of the negative numbers. So let's call it n. For negative numbers, let's let it be 0. Then we'll start for int n equals to 0 till int n is less than nums dot length and n plus plus, and remove this and remove the whole declaration part here. Okay, cool. Now if nums of n is greater than or equal to 0, break. If it isn't, keep going. Now we have two arrays, from 0 to n and from n to the length. What we want to do is we want to declare two integers, let's call them I, and it would hold everything before that n. So I would make it n minus 1, and for j what I'll do is I'll make it equal to nums dot j should also start from n. Exactly. Now since they are negative integers and they are sorted, so you see that if we square 3 and square 7 is greater than 3, so we'll go in opposite way. So I would decrease and n would increase. Here let's take another temp array. So let's call it temp, and its size should be equal to nums dot length. Now what we want to do is, while I is greater than 0 and j is less than nums dot length. What we want to do is we want to compare two solutions. If something is if nums dot I into nums dot I is greater than or equal to, we'll check this we'll check for this is first, let's call it greater than, and do we need to check for equals to? Let it be, the equals to will be taken care. So if it's greater than nums dot j, sorry, we are doing it opposite. If it is less than nums dot j, now what we want to do here is we want to assign that squared value to temps I. Right now to temps k pointer we also need to maintain a k. Let's declare it here, k equals to 0. Now what we want to do is this k should be equal to nums into num square, nums of I square. There, done. Now we need to decrement the I, we need to increment the k. Done. Else what we want to do is, if this condition is not satisfied, if j is greater than this, then we can copy it from here, copy, paste, and j into j. So this should be equal to this, and we'll increment j, so j plus plus as well as k plus plus. Now what if after this loop ends, okay, there is what if the loop ends and we still are remaining with some elements? Then we need to check this still while I is greater than 0. There, no, there, what is happening there? While I is greater than 0, we simply copy this here. Else what we want to do is copy, paste, while j is less than nums dot length, we need to make it equal to j, and j there, and j here, and plus plus, not minus. Finally what we want to do is for int I, we do have a I, let's take some another variable, I'll name it num equals to 0, num less than nums dot length, and nums plus plus. What I want to do here is I want to copy all the elements from temp num to my nums list, so nums dot num must be assigned these values, and that's it. At the end I need to return this. I hope it also works. I hope I didn't make any mistakes there. I did. I somehow messed up with this. I maybe went out of bound for something. Oh, it should be equal to here, because indexes can be 0, right? Anywhere else do I need to make that change? Nope. Let's continue. Yeah, correct. Let's submit. This code is faster than that code. This takes like a time complexity of n and also a space complexity of n. Although there's another way to use two-pointer approach, which will take time complexity of n, and the space complexity is constant. But this one is good, I think. And that's it for this. Thank you guys.